In this video, we will be learning how to deal with anxiety. So first in this video, we will look into the psychological definition of anxiety and what it is. And then we will be learning how to relax ourselves from the feeling of anxiety by learning the concept of mental simulations. And then a practical example to finalize the explanation. Why we have anxiety in the first place will be discussed in a later video, perhaps the very next one. So let's begin. Anxiety, in my knowledge, means the fear of the unknown. Mostly that is translated to the fear of how certain future events will result. For example, I'm anxious about my exam results, or I feel tense whenever I think how the interview is going to go, or I worry if I'm going to pass in my exams or not, and so on. All of these are simple examples of people feeling anxious about an event that hasn't happened and are taking stress thinking about it. Anxiety in common terms can be just defined as the feeling of stress we get when we think about how a certain future event would turn out. So let me humorously rephrase that. The stress that comes from the future is anxiety. Alright, makes sense? Moving on. So how do we deal with this? It's actually the same as the technique revision, but instead of the past, it's for the future. If you don't know what revision is, it's a technique using which you can rewrite your memory of a stressful event that happened in the past. I have a video on it, and if you grab a look at it, you will be able to understand how to deal with anxiety a bit better. So what you basically do to deal with anxiety is that you first analyze what is causing you to be anxious. Is it perhaps an exam, perhaps an interview, perhaps you have to give a speech, perhaps you are going to meet someone and you feel the meeting won't go well. Now once you have analyzed that, now comes the part where you mentally simulate that event. Now what do I mean by mental simulation? By mental simulation, I mean you simulate in your head, or you visualize in your mind as if that future event is happening. And then in this visualization, you go through the whole event in as much detail as you can. And while doing that, you associate as much positive feelings and humor with it as you can. When you do this repeatedly enough, then whenever your brain thinks about that event, it gets really relaxed because of the positive associations. Let me explain this with a personal example. I'm usually very relaxed, but when my 12th grade final exams were announced and I had a month left to study, I suddenly started feeling really stressed and tensed all day long. The issue was that I wasn't able to study that well in this state of anxiety, so I thought I must figure out how to eliminate this anxiety before further studying. So whenever I had the opportunity to walk around, I visualized in my head as if I'm going to give my exams. First I just visualized entering the classroom, sitting down and then completing the 3-hour paper in 1 hour and then screaming Yahoo as I exited the class. But after a while I thought that was very simple and bland, so I added a bit humor to it. So then I visualized the whole scenario a little differently this time. So I started visualizing. I entered the classroom to give my exam, but this time, along with me, floating right beside me was a ghost or an imaginary friend who only I could see and no one else could. He looked like an anime or cartoon version of myself. Let's call him Sigma. So I further visualized that as I waited for my paper, Sigma kept cracking jokes and I kept silently laughing at them. Only I could hear him and no one else could. So when the paper started, Sigma kept looking at my other classmates' paper and kept telling me the answer to every question. And so very easily I answered every question, and then I finished my paper an hour earlier, and as I got out of the classroom I jumped from the 50th floor of the building screaming Yahoo! And as I was about to land, I did a superhero landing, cracking the floor. Then I easily stood up straight, brushed the dust off my suit, got a pair of black shades out of my pocket, I wore them and walked with the thug life. Then I further visualized that after a few weeks, as I came back to collect my result, I found out that I got full marks. I happily take my report card, and as I was leaving the building, I saw a bunch of students gathered up in a corner. As I came close, I saw a bunch of students doing the Gangnam Style dance, and I was like, "What's going on here, mate?" And a student told me that the students that are dancing are actually dancing in celebration, for all of them got full marks. "Hey, I got full marks too," I said, and I joined them and started dancing as well. Now as I visualized all this, I couldn't stop smiling and laughing. I visualized this a few times, and then whenever my brain thought about the exams, I immediately recalled the visualization that I did, and it made me smile a lot and I got relaxed. My whole anxiety about my exams ended and never came back. I can clearly say that I eliminated the anxiety from the surface of my cognition that day. Even today, when I recall my 12th grade exams, the same visualization comes up and it makes me force a big smile on my face. Now, some of you may be wondering that you won't be able to visualize this creatively, but that doesn't matter. Just start mentally simulating the event, visualize in complete detail that everything is going to be alright, and keep repeating it until your anxiety stops. And then the creativity and the funny stuff will come. Be as illogical as you can about it so that it appears shocking and striking to your brain. If you wish to get more theory on why this works, then watch my previous video on the topic of revision, in which I explain some of the theoretical part as well. Just know that whatever you visualize, your brain thinks it's real. So if you give your exam, for example, in your head 10 times in as much detail as you can, and it always goes awesomely well, then your brain will stop worrying and you would be more confident. So just try it out. Mentally simulate the event you are anxious about. So let's conclude what we learned in this video. We learned the definition of anxiety, which is fear of the unknown or fear of a future event. Then we learn how to deal with anxiety by first analyzing what is the source of anxiety and then by mentally simulating. And then we learned how to mentally simulate a future event with an example. Once you make up a positively stimulating mental simulation, you would become completely relaxed and confident about the upcoming event. And now that you are relaxed, you will easily get ideas on how you can better deal with the situation. So be sure to try this out, and it's going to be really fun and creative. With this, I think I should wrap up this video. Be sure to read out the description for more information. If you like this video and would like me to make more of such videos, then be sure to give this video a thumbs up and support this series by subscribing to my channel. All feedbacks, questions, queries and comments are highly encouraged and welcomed. Be sure to check out some of my other uploads as well. Well, thank you very much for watching, and see you later, awesome folks.